Okay, we can move on to number 2. Number 2 has Calvin and Hobbes discovering a sunken pirate ship, and they have to divide their loot. They assign the points in the following way. Here's Calvin, and here is Hobbes. Now, I realize a lot of you might not even know who Calvin and Hobbes will be. So I thought I would give you a little picture here. This is Calvin, and Hobbes is actually his stuffed tiger that he has imaginary friendship with. So this is Calvin and Hobbes. So I don't know whether he's actually splitting anything up or whether he's getting to keep the whole loot, but for the sake of the problem, we'll go ahead and do it. So this is Calvin's allocation, and this is Hobbes's allocation. Again, we need to make sure that they both add up to 100, and they do. Now, other than seeing that they add up to 100, we don't do anything with that number. The next thing that we do is go through each one and circle which one is the highest for each category. Okay, so right now we have allocated Calvin getting the cannon, the sword, the cannonball, a wooden leg, a flag, and a crow's nest. Hobbes will receive the anchor, the unopened chest, the doubloon, the figurehead. So now we need to add and see how many points each side gets. Now remember, it could happen that when we add the sides that we could get an equal amount. And if that ever happens, we're done with the problem. So we're going to add here. We have 10 and 15 is 25, 30, 40, and 44. So we have 44 points over here for Calvin. Over to Hobbes, we have 20 and 20, which is 40. 54 plus 30 is 84. So we're quite lopsided here. The next thing that we have to do is we take the person with the most points and we look at the point ratio of their points to the other person's points. So the person with the highest always goes on the top. So we have 20 over 10, and we only check the ones that were allocated to the person with the higher number. 20 over 15, 14 over 11, and 30 over 20. Now we need to know what point allocations those are, and you can use a calculator, or some of them you can quickly see, for instance, that this is 2. And you might be able to do this one here, but just to be safe, if you want to put it in your calculator, you'll find out that this is 1.3 repeating. The next one is 14 divided by 11, which is 1.27 repeating. And then finally we have 30 divided by 20, which of course is 1.5. Now once we get this point ratio, we're looking at the smallest to the biggest. Oh, not ratio, sorry. Okay, so our smallest number is right here. So if I can take this amount and give it to Calvin and he still has less, then I want to do that. So if I take a look here and I take Hobbes as 14 away from him, that will take him down to 70. And if I add the 11 on to Calvin, he will have 55. Now as you can see, by doing that, Calvin is still less than Hobbes. So we're going to make that allocation, and Calvin is going to get the doubloon. So after we do that, we go on to the next smallest. The next smallest would be the unopened chest. Now if I take the 20 away from Hobbes, I would get 50. And then if I added the 15 onto Calvin's, I would get 70. So that would take Calvin over top of Hobbes. So I'm not going to do that allocation. That means that this is going to be where we split a percentage of each. So now that I have that, I need to get my new total. I don't want to add this in because I'm going to split it. I'm going to take 20 and the 30, and that will give me 50. Over here, I need to add all of these numbers together. So I have 10, 21, 23, 25, 30, 40, and 55. So I have my 55 here. Just wanted to double check. Okay, so these are our numbers that we're going to use in our equation. So I have 55 plus. Now I'm going to take a part of 15. So that's 15 times x equals, and now on the other side again, I have 50 plus, here Hobbs put down 20 points, so I'm going to use the 20 and 1 minus x. Notice it's always x and 1 minus x. It does not matter which one you make x and which one you make 1 minus x. Until the end, you have to make sure that you substitute the right number in for x. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water there. Okay, so now I have 50 plus 20 minus 20x. And after I distribute my 20 into my parentheses and then add my like terms, this is what I get with my variables on both sides. Now I want to make sure that I have my variable on one side and my number on the other side. So I'm going to bring my variable over here to the left by adding 20x. And then I'm going to subtract 70. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'm going to subtract 55 from this side, and I have 15. Now I continue solving for x. So x will equal, if I divide them both by 5, I will have 3/7. Now again, this is the amount that is allocated to whoever I allocated the x with. In this case would be Calvin. So that would be 3/7. Now, since his is 3/7, Hobbs would be 4/7, because these two always add up to be 1. Let's take a look at what everybody gets. All right, so now we have Calvin, and then we have Hobbs. And let's see where we're at. Calvin will get the cannon. He will also get the doubloon. He will get the sword. He will get the cannonball. He will get the wooden leg, the flag, and the crow's nest. And whenever they open up that chest, that 3/7 can be represented by a percentage. So if I take 3 divided by 7, this is approximately 43%. So that means whatever's in that chest, Calvin's going to get about 43% of. Hobbs, on the other hand, will get the anchor, And we'll also get the figurehead. And then other than that, he will get 4 sevenths, which is 57%. These two will always add up to be 100 of the unopened chest. Now, again, I still don't have my point allocation number here. So I do want to do that to make sure that I have it correct. And as a matter of fact, it probably would be wise to do that before I even wrote my summary. But let's take a look at what 15 times 3 sevenths would be. 15 times 3 divided by 7. And that is 6.4, we'll round it up to 3. So 6.43. So when I add that to 55, I get 61.43. This is what I have to do next on the other side is I take 20 times 4 divided by 7, and I get 11.43. So I need to add these two together, 50 plus 11.43, and I do in fact get 61.43. So my two sides are equal. So that means as far as points go, the totals are equal. And again, this has nothing to do with value. This just shows us that as far as what they like, they're both the same. Okay? If you have any other questions, you know you can text, email, or call.